All right, gang, here's circuit number 2. Real quick, the setup is very similar. The reps are the same. The template's the same. So we're doing 2 lower body movements first, where the second one is going to be more of an explosive movement. So we develop some strength and then develop some power on top of that. And then movement number 3 is going to be an upper body pull. And movement number 4, which we did in the first circuit, push-up and pike, kind of works the front side, also the abs. In this circuit, we're going to do a Superman exercise with the total gym, which also is kind of shoulders, but also definitely abs as well. So a very similar setup, but just obviously different exercises. So the first 2 lower body movements are more lateral movements. So in life, but definitely in basketball, if we're kind of keep this in a basketball theme, you obviously just don't run straight. You know, you just don't run up and down the court with ever moving side to side or rotationally, of course, either. So you need to train all planes of motion. So this is a great way to train some lateral movement as well. Is just don't want to just train sagittal. So lateral lunge here, set up, foot on the glide board again. I'm still down in the lower third. On the tower, we're gonna drive this leg out. Okay, we want to keep this leg as straight as possible, so we'll actually get a nice kind of groin adductor stretch. And I'm trying to bend ankle, hip, and knee here. Ideally, I'd like to keep these 3 in a relatively straight line. Actually, all 4, the shoulder as well. Tight ankles, so I'm not the best demo for this, but you'll still get the idea. You want to try to maintain a straight line from these 4 joints, okay? So some people kind of do this sort of thing, or they stick their hip out, they get all kind of squirrely. So try to maintain that if you're watching in a mirror or if you're working with a client, try to have them maintain that, that nice straight line. So I'm just gonna push the hips back, okay? Try to keep the chest up as best I can, okay? And keep that toe relatively straight as the board goes out. And then right back up. So I slide that board out so I'm getting that nice stretch and then coming right back up. So I have a hard time trying to keep the chest up. That's where my challenge is. And just like the reverse lunges we did in the first circuit, if you want to add weight, you could hold a dumbbell, medicine ball right here as well. So obviously we would do both sides. I'd turn around, get the other side there. After that, we'll go into a skater plyout. So this is a lateral movement, explosive movement. So it's a lateral jump basically. So I'm going to start on one foot. I'm going to push myself over, okay, explode over, just like the jump lunge where we want to use the upper body. So I load up this hip glute, jump across, and I'm going to land on the right leg, okay? So I'm jumping side to side. And if you had some cones or some markers or something, anything in the house to give yourself a target to shoot for, that would be great. Even a tape measure is ideal because that way you can kind of measure your progress and say, hey, today I jumped 4 feet. You know, next time I'm going to try to jump 4 feet 1 inch. So I'll do a few live. So I load up this leg, and when you jump, one thing I should note, when you land, again, want to try to land soft, under control. See if you can keep that trail leg off the ground the whole time. So this leg that's coming from the inside doesn't touch the ground the whole time. All right. So I'm here. I jump. Okay, so you can see there's some balance. There's a couple ways to do it. You could go as fast as possible. What I was doing there was trying to stick and kind of absorb into it, stick and land, so you kind of control the movement. So there's a couple options there that you can play around with. Moving on to number 3, you don't really need the total gym for this, but you can definitely take advantage of it. If you have a bench, that obviously works as well. It's just a good old 1-arm row, dumbbell row. So for this version, we're going to have a knee down, hand down. The key here is to keep the back straight, okay? So you could do this here. If you didn't have access to a bench or anything, you could definitely do it in this position here, just hand on the knee. As long as that back is relatively neutral, we're in a good, safe position. So here, the back is neutral. All we're doing is palms facing in, driving that elbow towards the ceiling and bringing that weight towards the ribs. So my back should stay relatively straight the entire movement, and obviously I would do the same on the other side, okay? Balance it out. Last movement's the Superman exercise. So for this, I'm going to set up right behind the glide board here, and just like the push-up and pike, where my feet were, you might have to adjust them. Same with the hands. So, you know, if my hands are here, and I come back and I bottom out too much, I may have to reposition myself. So you can kind of do 1 or 2 kind of test reps to see what works so you get a nice full range. This is one where I love this exercise, kind of like an ab wheel variation. Just need to be careful that people don't go too far. They go into a deep anterior tilt with the pelvis and put a lot of strain on their low back, so we don't want to go into that deep lumbar hyperextension. So want to make sure that you try to keep a level pelvis as best as possible and really brace through that midsection. So I'll do a few reps. So as I extend out, I don't want to drop the hips. Okay, I want to keep the hips up. So the movement doesn't need to be that, at least for me, it doesn't need to be that wide of a range. So I start in a neutral position, wrist under elbow, under shoulder, nice and straight. Brace the abs, squeeze the butt, extend out, and then pull back to neutral. Extend out, pull back to neutral. So between every rep, take a breath. I'll really kind of brace. Squeeze the glutes, squeeze the abs, get everything nice and tight, and then extend out and pull up, exhale as I pull back in. All right, show one more. Good, so there's your 2 circuits, 4 moves. Again, you can treat them as circuit style as I wrote. Go a couple rounds through each, take a little breather in between, and then complete the second circuit. So, yeah, basketball specific, you could treat it as such because there's some plyometrics involved, there's some jumping involved. Again, make sure you're landing and jumping appropriately. It's not just all sagittal plane, there's some lateral movements in there as well. So it makes it, a general sport-specific routine as well. But even if you're, again, not getting on the hardwood anytime soon, it's still definitely a beneficial full-body routine.